looking ahead to Rutgers next week, you've got to have some concerns on the injury front. Devon Ellies by the end of the game looked like a robotic man. He had a brace on his knees, a brace on an elbow. The kid's been playing great this year at defensive tackle and just been super banged up. But especially on offense with Lee, their final drive, Cam Sullivan-Brown, who has had, I think, 4 catches all year, got multiple targets. Malik Mega, who came into the game with 1 catch, got a target, which to his credit he caught. And it seemed like Dotson may have been banged up on that drive. On the 4th and whatever it was, 4th and 3, 4th and 4, came off the top of my head, that they failed to convert. Dotson was not on the field. So, if there are injuries there, that's obviously going to create an obstacle. But if there aren't injuries there, even before Dotson left the field, because Dotson was clearly banged up, one has to wonder why they were giving targets to these guys over Parker Washington. I understand Keandre Lambert-Smith had some drops today, but ultimately he's been a very good big play threat for you this season. And that was one thing that to me got frustrating on that last drive also, where it didn't seem like they were putting their best personnel out there at receiver. And like I said, once Dotson got banged up, he left the field totally different, obviously, but it was frustrating to me to not see them targeting Parker Washington or Keandre Lambert-Smith, or maybe one of the tight ends on that final drive, because they've been your guys this year outside of Dotson.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against Sullivan-Brown, of course, but
obviously.
Your 2 most important plays of the game go to a guy that I believe has had 1 catch the entire season, or 2 catches maybe the entire season.
There haven't been.
Yeah, I'm not. And I get it. I get strategically maybe what they were thinking. Okay, everyone else, especially since Dotson is out, everyone else is going to be double, triple covered. So let's try to give it to the guy that no one is going to be paying attention to. But maybe there's a reason why no one's paying attention to the guy.
Yeah, I just Googled it. He entered the day with 4 catches this season, 17 for his career. And, like you said, the thing, nobody paying attention to him, I think that very much may have been the case, because there was that sideline route to Sullivan-Brown early in that drive where he was open and he just couldn't get to the ball. And, that's where it was frustrating with me, because if you run that with, say, Keandre Lambert-Smith, even with the drops he had today, I'm very confident he reels that in, because anyone who's watched his team this year can tell you one thing Keandre Lambert-Smith has done an excellent job of is in games when he's had drops, he's always bounced back with that big catch. He did it against Wisconsin. He did it against Ohio State. He did it in the Indiana game. There's been games all year where he has bounced back to make a crucial catch. Last week against Maryland, had a big first down catch after a drop earlier in the game. And, like you said, obviously the coaching staff had their reasons, and I'm sure those are things we may find out more about as the week goes on. But it was definitely frustrating to be out there on that last drive, knowing you had to go score to take the lead and win the game, and you were almost shorthanding yourself by not having some of your best weapons out there on the field.
Yeah, and I will say, right, like after last season, after how things went last season, having a bowl game guaranteed, I'm going to disrespect Rutgers here a little bit. Having a winning regular season is all well and good. And let's be realistic, right? Some of us predicted that they would finish in the 9-3, 8-4 range. That's still possible. I think one of us at the beginning of the season actually did predict a 7-5 season. So if they can't beat Michigan State at the end of the season, that 7-5 season happens. And that's progress, right? If you're coming off a losing season, avoiding a losing season is a good thing. It builds momentum for the next year. Penn State has a top 3 right now class coming in. So there's a lot of promise. It's always so tough to conceptualize the notion that we predicted something like this at the beginning of the season, then watching how things unfolded, being ranked as high as number 4 in the country, being 5-0, basically kind of the same thing that happened in this game, but instead against Iowa, like being able to move the ball at will only for everything to come to a screeching halt. And let's be realistic, right? I think Clifford is doing pretty okay at the moment, but there are still some lingering effects from that hit that he took at Iowa.
Absolutely.
Every time he gets hit, he's basically, double down in pain. He's bent over, he's wincing, right? So, like, there is the possibility that Clifford is giving us everything he has got, but he's not particularly 100%. Even if it's at 90, but that's still not 100%. So that aside, right? Still watching such a promising season get derailed so quickly is still disappointing, even if at the end of the day, what we predicted at the beginning of the season is what ends up happening. Because let's be realistic, right? Like when there are no games being played, when we don't know how the team is going to reach what we say they will reach, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, they'll lose to this team, they'll lose to that team, they'll win that one, blah, 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 and all will be well. But then you actually see it happen, and it just hurts just a little bit more. And I will say this, I think when I was writing my season prediction, I said something along the lines of, until they prove otherwise, Penn State will lose to Ohio State. They'll lose to some other team. And I actually mentioned Illinois by name. But still, watching that disaster did not hurt any less, because back in August, I had said, well, it might be Illinois this year. So, I know I've gone completely off topic now, but still looking at the season and looking at how close they were on some of these games, right? Like how close they were to avoiding the total collapse against Iowa, how close they were to avoiding overtime altogether versus Illinois, right? Like if I think it was Joey Porter Jr., if he or maybe it was Jaquan Brisker, one of the two.
It was Brisker that dropped INT, yeah.
If he doesn't drop that interception, we're not even talking about that disaster. If John Lovett is like half an inch inside, we're talking about potentially the worst case scenario being a 3-way tie and Penn State goes to the championship game, right? If this, whatever that was, with the fake field goal thing, right? We're still talking about a potential 10-win season. So Penn State is close, and who knows what will happen next season. But it still hurts. It still sucks, but at least we're not Nebraska.
That's true. You know what? At least we're not Nebraska. I'm going to ride that the rest of the season. At least we're not Nebraska.